Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a brand new ranking for you all, and I am going to be ranking all 6 of director J.J. Abrams' movies. So when I was looking through to find directors where I have seen all of their movies, I realized that J.J. Abrams actually hasn't done that many movies, and most people probably know him more for his producing credits coming from his studio, Bad Robot Productions, a logo that you are probably fairly familiar with. He's done producing for movies, he's done producing for TV, and he's also fairly well known for being one of the co-creators for the fabulous series Lost and the creator of the series Alias. But once again, for the purposes of today's video, I'm actually going to be looking at the movies he has directed. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. I think there's somewhere in the ballpark of 100 videos on that playlist. So if you do enjoy ranking videos, I can almost guarantee that there will be something on there within the 100 videos that you can find and enjoy. And if there's something that you feel is missing and should definitely be on there, please, please, please suggest it down in the comments, because I read and reply to all of them. And now without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 6, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Look, when it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, I do not envy J.J. Abrams whatsoever. For those of you who don't know, The Rise of Skywalker was originally supposed to be called Duel of the Fates and was going to be directed by Colin Trevorrow, who was most well known for directing the first Jurassic World movie. But after the poor fan reception to The Last Jedi, Disney felt it was the safer bet to go with J.J. Abrams once again. But the man was given basically an impossible task. He was meant to give us a sequel to The Force Awakens, while also retconning a lot of the stuff that the fans were not happy with in The Last Jedi, give us a conclusion to this sequel trilogy, while also giving us a conclusion to the entire saga. That is quite a lot to handle when you're brought into it on fairly short notice. And that's where all of the problems lie. This movie is an absolute mess. Rey went from being no one to the daughter of a failed Palpatine clone. Yes, they brought Palpatine back at least a little bit. There is way too quick of a turn for Kylo Ren just all of a sudden being good because he saw the ghost of his dead dad, who he killed, I might add. Finn's character arc just absolutely goes to shit, and the entire plot is just filled with way too many conveniences and shortcuts. It's basically just a go fetch plot. Go here, get this. Go here, get that. Go there, get that. That's the entire plot of this movie leading up to the finale, which also ends up being incredibly underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, it's not a horrible movie. Even if it is quickly becoming my least favorite of the Star Wars movies, there is still some good old-fashioned Star Wars fun to be had in here. But this is really the only J.J. Abrams movie that I don't care for. Number 5, Star Trek Into Darkness. I think people's biggest complaint with this movie, or at least the issue that I see most commonly, comes down to Benedict Cumberbatch and his character. A lot of people kept saying in the build-up to this movie that he's playing Khan, you know, like the original Star Trek sequel, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, but everyone involved in this movie kept denying it. No, he's not Khan, he's a new character, he's an original character, and then of course when we actually got to see the movie, we got this.
My name is Khan.
So all of the theories from the very beginning were proven right, and people have just mercilessly mocked that line delivery since this movie came out almost a decade ago. For me personally, I didn't mind it. Granted, I am not a die-hard lifelong Star Trek fan, but it was just fine for me. I love Benedict Cumberbatch and I thought he was great in the role. This sequel is still insanely enjoyable in my mind, but it isn't without its issues. I do enjoy the darker tone, which a lot of people didn't really care for. They felt it was a little too just generic and mainstream. I didn't really like many of the added characters either, like Alice Eve and her father. None of them really clicked with me, but I would argue that the main cast is actually even better than they are in the 2009 original. Their chemistry is just absolutely on point, and the stakes feel even higher and the emotion runs even deeper. Not to mention, it is still filled with beautiful visuals, insane and chaotic space action, and some of the darkest and most memorable moments in Star Trek's history. Yes, people were justifiably disappointed in this movie, but it is by no means in any way, shape, or form a bad movie, as I always have an absolute blast with it. Number 4, Mission Impossible 3. This movie right here was the switch in this franchise. This is the one that saved the franchise, if you ask me. If you watch Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back, you can very much so tell that they didn't really know what to do with this franchise, at least in my mind. They are all visually and totally very different from one another. However, I feel that Mission Impossible 3 was the turnaround for this franchise and has been the blueprint for the other movies that have followed and continue to follow. Because from this point on, from Mission Impossible 3, all feel visually and totally the same. Not exactly the same, because of course the other directors did absolutely put their own unique twists on this franchise, but it was this movie right here from J.J. Abrams that set the stage for everything to come and turn this into one of the must-watch pinnacle action franchises of the 21st century. Everything about this movie is great. Tom Cruise is exceptional as always. I adore all of the supporting characters, but who I love most in this movie is our dearly departed Philip Seymour Hoffman, may he rest in peace, as this movie's villain. He is just impeccable. He chews up every single scene he's in. The movie gets infinitely better every time he is on screen. This movie also has a lot of surprisingly twisted and intense moments. No, it doesn't necessarily go as big and as impossible as its sequels that followed. This is a far more personal, down-to-earth tale, which arguably makes the stakes even higher, at least for our lead character. Number 3. Super 8. This one was undeniably a callback to 80s classics like The Goonies and Stand By Me with a sci-fi twist. We follow a group of kids in a small town who find themselves caught up in the middle of a larger-than-life story. Tell me if that sounds just a little bit familiar. Yeah, it's a lot like Stranger Things, but this also came out in 2011. Dare I say that Super 8 walked so that Stranger Things could run. But what I'm also trying to say is that if you enjoy, like, or even love Stranger Things, I would dare say that you will enjoy, like, or even love Super 8. There are a lot of similarities here. We have a cast of phenomenal child actors, some stunning visuals, unique storytelling, and an emotional and moving coming-of-age journey from start to finish. Number 2. Star Trek. I had never been a fan of Star Trek. I really didn't care for it. I never really thought to get into it. It just didn't interest me at all. However, I was pleasantly, and I mean pleasantly, surprised by just how much I loved this movie. Those are sometimes the best movies, the ones you don't really want to see or you don't expect to be very good, and then you just fall head over heels for them. That's my journey with this Star Trek reboot. It's got big, epic sci-fi action, bold storytelling, a cast of carefully casted characters that all have superb chemistry with one another. This movie brought Star Trek into a new generation and in a very, very big way. Number 1. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. The first time around that J.J. Abrams took on Star Wars was with Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and his order was arguably just as tall for this one as it had been when he took over for the Rise of Skywalker. He had to please fans of the original trilogy, right the wrongs of the prequel trilogy. This was Disney's first Star Wars movie after buying the IP for billions of dollars and introduce it to a brand new generation. That is a fair bit of pressure, and I believe that he and this team succeeded in every single aspect of that task. From me, they get flying colors, top marks. From a cast of new, exciting, and refreshing characters, some familiar faces, grand Star Wars action, of course John Williams composing, bright, vibrant, unique new worlds, and set up for an extraordinary, or so we thought, future. This movie hit all the right notes. It did everything it was supposed to do. This movie was so good and it made so many big promises. And I really don't think we should fault this movie because of the way the next two turned out, however your thoughts may be on those. Because yes, even though the storytelling is a bit familiar because it really is kind of just a retelling of A New Hope, I think that was done on purpose to bring back fans of that original trilogy while also making it accessible to kids who are watching Star Wars for the first time. I really do love this movie top to bottom and think it is a top 3 Star Wars movie in J.J. Abrams' best work. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, if you want to see more ranking videos, once again, I have that playlist with nearly 100 100 ranking videos on there. I upload longer videos at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a week. I upload shorts every single day. So if you are a movie lover, if you are a movie fan, if you love ranking videos, top 10s, versus videos, all that awesome stuff, be sure to smash that subscribe button ASAP. And while you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you. And while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.